Welcome everybody, my name is Robert Gastel, and today I'm going to show you to make homemade salsa with the help of my friend Steve and Lee. If you want to come over here, let's go over the ingredients first and foremost. Let's start with the jalapenos. Today we have green jalapenos we selected with garlic. We have lime, fresh ripe tomatoes, cilantro, red onion, cumin, salt, and most importantly, San Marzano crushed tomatoes. So first and foremost, after we have selected our ingredients, we're going to want to wash them. Cleanliness is key, right? So let's just do a basic scrub on the tomatoes. We'll come over. What we already have here is the lukewarm water. We're just going to rinse them as easy as you see. Nothing crazy. Let those dry. Make sure you put them on a clean place. Come back, same thing with your jalapenos. Give them a little scrub. Remember, we're ingesting all this, so we want to make sure what we're putting in us as clean as we can get it. Cilantro. Cilantro can carry a lot of dirt. This one you want to spend a little more time on getting cleaned off. Upside down, shake it. Now we'll dry them off and move on to the next step. Welcome back. After everything's been washed and prepared, now we're going to show you how to de-seed a jalapeno, dice the tomatoes, crush the garlic, and chop the red onion, as well as the cilantro to put into the processor for blending. I have gloves on, so I'm obviously going to start with the jalapeno first. Worst thing you can do is go to de-seed any kind of chili pepper, get it on your hands, get it on your face, touch anywhere else. You'll be crying a lot, bad times. So, got a very sharp knife, got my jalapeno, and a cutting board. I'm just going to cut the stem off. Throw that away, don't need it. You'll see right there, you now have all the seeds. What I like to do is I cut right down the middle. That right there is where all your spice and heat comes from, the seeds. So if you don't want it hotter, outside of not using a jalapeno, you can just remove the seeds. That's what I do. Once the seeds are removed, you don't have to do a crazy chop on it because the food processor is going to do the majority of your blending. So I just will cut down the middle again, and I'll just do a rough chop. Again, pay very close attention to your hands. Dealing with sharp knives, don't want to cut yourself. Cilantro. Move on to this next. I always cut the actual stem part off, and I just like the actual cilantro leaf itself. Nothing special with this. Twist it, break it in half, put it in there. For the cilantro, all I used was a 3/4 of a bushel that you would get at the grocery store. So just measure it out that way, use the best of your judgment. Red onion. This is a pretty good sized onion, so I'm going to use half of this. Cut it down the middle, save the other half for something else. I cut the top part where the onion flowers, and then I'll peel the rest of the skin off. More importantly, that first layer of the skin. As you can see, I'm peeling it off to expose the nice red meaty flesh of the physical onion. You see the difference? And now what's nice is by keeping the bottom part intact where the bud would have formed, my onion doesn't fall apart when I go to chop it. So I'll go this way along it, just making an incision every, say, 1/4 of an inch. Again, the majority of the dicing is going to come from the food processor. And then just go 180 with the onion and chop down the other way. When you get to the end, as it falls like that, just let it fall. And then just go like this. You just slice with the grain. Throw the bud part away. Put that into your food processor. Once you're done with the red onion, we'll move on to the ripe tomatoes. For this one, same part you see where it would flower out of. You just want to cut that off. If you have goats or chickens, they love these ends. So remember that. Save that for your roasted chickens. With the tomatoes, again, just cut them in half. Cut it in quarters. Turn them over. Here's where you can decide to either keep the meat in or remove it. I like to remove it. Sometimes it makes it too watery and waters down the flavor of the physical salsa. So I'll remove it. Okay, now that the meat's been removed from the tomato, we're just going to continue just dicing these down to a little bit smaller chunks. When you get it like this, just cut it in half. And again, just cut it in quarters. That's it, nothing special to it. Cut it in half, cut it in quarters. With the tomatoes, it's important to use a ripe tomato because when you go to process it or to blend it in the food processor, it'll help to keep a texture for when you do more of the fine processing, which is what, or not fine, but the coarse processing is what we're going to be doing. So take your tomatoes, put them inside the processor. We'll move on now to our garlic cloves. Here I have 3 garlic cloves. Lay it down, take the back of your blade, hit it down. Do that for the other ones, and then you'll be able to peel the skin away from it easily as it's crushed the garlic for us. For the garlic, this is really to taste, to where if you like a more obviously garlically flavored salsa, by all means use another clove or 2. This recipe is just a foundation for you to make it your own. This just happens to be the flavor that I like the most, so I make it my way. Now that the garlic's peeled, same thing, just cut them in half, cut them in half, cut them in half. Throw them right in, nothing special to it. For the lime, I'm sure a majority of you know, but for those that don't, here's a pro tip. Before you cut a lime to squeeze it, or a lemon, roll it out. What you're doing here is you're loosening up all the fibers inside of the fruit, and it's releasing all the juices by doing such. This lime should be seedless, so I shouldn't have to worry about it too much. But just in case, I always like to squeeze the juice over my hand like this with my fingers closed in case the seed does come out, so the seed doesn't end up in the actual salsa itself. I'll use 1 whole lime. If you want more citrus tang to it, add more. But I feel 1 lime is very sufficient. Okay, now that that's done, we'll go ahead and add our San Marzano crushed tomatoes. This is a 28-ounce can. You only need half of this can, so 14 ounces. You can't really find these Marzano tomatoes in a smaller can, so it's just what we have to use. So just eyeball it. You obviously know what a full can looks like, so when it looks about halfway, just stop. And with there we have that. Salt is another pretty big ingredient in this. I don't like to use pepper. The chili will add all the spice and flavor you need in lieu of the pepper. So salt, I like to use 1 scoop of the half tablespoon, so half tablespoon of salt. And then the cumin is optional. I love a cumin taste in my salsa. Just be advised that half a teaspoon will be a lot. So cumin goes a long way, don't forget that. What I try to do is go for about 1/4. Again, just fill up half of it, put it right in. With all of our ingredients now in the food processor, we're gonna bring it over to the food processor and show you what it looks like on just a coarse chop to get them all together. All right, now we're just gonna pulse or blend all of the ingredients together. You can see our food processor is pretty simple. It just has a high, low, off, and a pulse. I'm just gonna pulse. Because like I said, I'm going for more of a coarse salsa, not so much a fine blend. So it's engaged, we're plugged in. Keep my hand over the top so it comes shooting out. Just gonna do a fine pulse. can take a look on the top right here and you'll see the consistency that we're starting to get. If this is a consistency you like, stop here. I'm gonna go a little bit more because I want it just a little bit finer, although we're pretty close here. So when it's done, I'm just gonna unplug the power so nothing happens to my hand. Again, there's a sharp blade inside of there. We're gonna take this out and look at the final product. It's a nice fine course. You can see the ingredients, you know the ingredients are fresh. The biggest takeaway, once you're done, put it into a some kind of container that you can seal, that you can put a lid on, and let it rest for a good 15 minutes minimum, if not overnight. The flavors really blend and get a chance to incorporate themselves with each other. And it's just like spaghetti. Next day sauce is always the best. Same thing for the salsa. There's a lot of good information online. I got this recipe from, it's called a spicyperspective.com. Just looked up homemade salsa. This is one I've always liked, so I've always kept using it. If you have any other further questions, go ahead and ask me now at the conclusion of this video. And I hope you enjoy your salsa. Thank you for watching.